Test, test. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good to have you here. I know we're going to bring some people in from the atrium. And I fully recognize that it is just past 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, right? It's a sunny Saturday morning for that matter. But again, I want to reiterate, we only ask this of you once a year for like 3 hours. That seems really, really reasonable. And I know we still have some others traveling. We have some out with sickness and different things. Sometimes we stream these meetings, and sometimes we don't. It just depends on the sensitivity of the topics we need to address. If we feel like some can be taken the wrong way or viewed offensively, we'll just send out a private link. But we're streaming today, so must be nothing controversial or offensive until I decide to say it, and then that'll change all that. So let's open up in a word of prayer real quick, and we'll get started. I appreciate you coming in, and hopefully you'll hopefully you're warm, but hopefully you'll warm up, and we'll get into some of these things that will edify and be a help to our ministry. And I know I can see there's quite a few people who aren't here, so hopefully we'll be able to get some of them in, and then also I deal with a lot of sickness and different things. So hopefully we'll connect with some people and they can follow us online. But let's pray. Father, we love you so much. Thank you again for the privilege and opportunity to serve you. Lord, we recognize that none of us are worthy in and of ourselves. It's not self-righteousness or anything like that allows these things. But Lord, it's your goodness and your mercy and your grace and your love for us. And Lord, I pray that your love would be reciprocated through the praise and the worship that we find within the music ministry for you. Of course, we'll continue to pray for Pastor and Brother Mike as they're in the Philippines and give them good rest as it's evening their time. Lord, strengthen them and use them greatly in the coming days. Lord, for this meeting, I pray you give us clarity of not only speech, but of reception to receive these things and to remember the key points for this coming year as we kind of lay out the foundation. We love you. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, first off, I want to say thank you to Miss Tammy Wheeler and Miss Lena for helping provide breakfast, put all that together for us this morning. One of the ways our ministry operates, and we didn't necessarily design it this way, but it's kind of been a result, is that when there's a job that's not filled in, we typically fill it in with staff. so that we always get things done. And every time somebody steps up to take care of something, that pulls staff away who are already doing too many things. And so I really appreciate that. Two things happened. This morning is such a great example. One, breakfast looks amazing. And two, already busy people didn't have to do it, right? And I'm super thankful for that. And that's a great opportunity. I'm also thankful to see our Spanish ministry represented here, because their music ministry is continuing to grow as well. And I'm really excited. We have I feel like we've established, some really great tools digitally for music ministry. We'll be talking about those today as we continue forward in that area. And then also our instruments and platform and technology and all these different things. We've got a really great foundation to build on. And I know music is not platforms and instruments and all that. Music is people. But we have a really great opportunity to build the people that we have where we are. So really appreciate you being here this morning. And then, of course, want to thank everyone who served in any capacity. And I forgive the broad scope of this, but it's in sincerity. I want to thank everybody who participated in the music ministry this last year. You cannot make the mistake of undervaluing the power or importance of a music ministry within a church. And now I'm going to be careful. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to blow up on me. I can already anticipate that because I've been around for a while. But this has been one of the lowest drama years for music ministry that I've ever been a part of. Now, I didn't say we didn't have drama, because we have human beings, right? Anytime you have that, you're going to have. And you go, well, what do you mean by drama? I mean excessive emotion about insufficient, topics or real worth of problems. So, but it's been good. It was a good year, and I really appreciate that. And then Miss Askey, are you going to quote some of the statistics this year for what we did? I'm excited about that. But I believe we produced the largest volume of specials that we ever have in our church's history. We're not trying to outdo ourselves, like we're not trying to get the numbers up. They're not like sales numbers, but because of the numbers of events and services and different things, these things are called for, and so that happens. Let me take a moment, if I could, and I just want to talk about real briefly why our church has a music ministry, and then also what the purpose is within that music ministry. Our music ministry is one of the single largest ministries that our church has. The second largest ministry we have would be, depending on how you divide it up, would be our children's ministry. And if you want to incorporate the school in that, would make it the largest ministry. But our music ministry is one of the single largest ministries. It involves more people, impacts more services and conferences than very few other ministries do. The music ministry is massive. And because of that, it is one of the more complicated ministries. Music is the language of emotion, but people experience music differently. How many have ever sung a song, whether with a choir or a special, where it really ministered to you? It was a powerful song, you really enjoyed it, but then as you were singing it, people just seemed like they could care absolute less. Is there anybody else? Is that just Brother Dan? One of my favorite songs we used to sing as a quartet, we literally stopped singing because people just did not enjoy it. But I loved it. It was one of my favorites. But that's okay. Nobody did anything wrong. I don't walk away from, singing a special and like, well, those people are carnal. They can't appreciate my song. It's not about that. It's that music, kind of like food almost, it affects people differently in different ways. And because of that, it creates a real diversity within the music ministry. And, well, why have music? And I'm going to tell you this, a lot of churches get in trouble because they're confused about their music. I'm going to just tell you that right up front. Because they lose their sense of purpose with their music, they struggle to find what are their standards in music. This last year, I talked about standards in music less than I ever have before. And I believe that's because we've made our purpose clearer than ever before. I think the one helps balance out the other, and just had a great year with that. When you go biblically, when you travel back to the time of the temple, the building of the temple, what an incredible symbol this is that, Solomon, David originally in his heart, but Solomon would complete the building of the temple. And as they do, what's the purpose of the temple? Well, there's a lot of different purposes within the offerings and sacrifices and these types of things, but man, it was to connect man to God. It was for the purpose of connecting to God. And one of the key elements within the temple was music. They had a choir in the temple. They had professional singers, and not only that paid, but they were at the top of, they were going to the temple to offer up their offering of song. David, they not only had instruments and an orchestra, but David himself created some of the instruments that they used in the temple. There were definitely, unquestionably, musically gifted people in that time. So, one, music has been historically a part of the worship of the Lord. What instruments do we involve in the worship of the Lord? And this is always a big controversy, this type of thing. You have to be careful because percussion instruments existed in Bible times. If you go back and study what the instruments were, you're going to find they did have percussion instruments. Now, if you do a music study, an unbiased music study, and look at the history of music, you can see how music has been formed in our country. Today, over the last 100 years, and I'm going to be careful how I say this, but I believe I can say this with accuracy and clarity. Over the last 100 years, there have been more subgroups and subgenres of music than in all of world history. There have been so many branches of types of music. The other day I was remembering that as a teenager, and I grew up right here in the Puget Sound, and as a teenager, I was 16 right around 1993, 1994. Some of you think the Ark just landed about the same date, but right about that time, rock and roll music had birthed, or a subgenre known as alternative music, and alternative music birthed the subgroup known as grunge, and grunge was Northwest. And, people were wearing flannels and Timbo boots and all this kind of stuff, and it was such a thing, And look back and just kind of laugh at all of it. But that was a big thing, and within that, you have two subdivisions, and I can take rock music itself, and I can travel back and see how it was influenced by folk music and all these things. You go, why is that important? Because I don't want to see our music guided by another genre, right? Our music is, first thing, church music is its own genre. It's known as sacred. There's different names it goes by, but sacred is one of them, spiritual, whatever. And it's one of, if not the oldest forms of music known to man, was the worship of God through music. And though the world may use instruments we use, I don't have a problem with that. If they want to use a piano for their song, whatever. But I don't want to bring an electric guitar into the church. Electric guitars were created in the 1920s and 30s, and they very much had a specific purpose and sound. Their evolution and their elevation of them. Matter of fact, one of the really innovators within that particular instrument, if you want to call it an instrument, would be Jimi Hendrix, who was born in Seattle, or raised in Seattle, excuse me. And so I don't want to bring that into the church. I don't need that in the church. And I think sometimes there's some confusion because people feel like, well, what's wrong with us using this instrument? Other groups use some of the instruments we use, yes, but their genre didn't influence us. They're picking up what we've already had. Does that make sense? And so as far as the instruments that we use, and by the way, I've not had one single request from anyone to have an electric guitar or have drums or anything like that. And the other thing we have to be careful when you talk about drums, you got to talk about which type. If you're talking about like a timpani drum or something like that, and again, percussion instruments did exist in the temple, but I don't want the modern, and I don't even know what we would call those, like a drum set, a modern drum set. I don't want that in the church because there was a particular type of music that developed those instruments and I don't want to be influenced by that kind of genre. And I know, and it's funny. Now, having said that, we know why we do what we're doing, and I'm going to tell you this. Our music ministry does not operate under fear. I just want to let you know that right up front. We do not operate off of fear. I grew up in a church where if you sang anything that had been written within the last 50 years, people openly talked about how concerned they were that you are just going to go contemporary and breathe. The first thing is to go contemporary, number one, your leadership has to want it. Number two, your people have to want it. It's a problem with the heart is where that starts. It's not a problem with instruments or songs. It's a problem with the heart. Okay, so let's own that. And we're making a mistake. There are some excellent Christian songwriters out there. And to not sing their music for another 100 years because we like to be quote unquote old-fashioned is nonsense. I want to offer up to the Lord the best that we have to offer. And I also want to minister to our people. That's a key part of music. So the world, the lost world, and you don't have to admit to any of this, but if you've ever gone to a concert or you've gone to, and I know you never have, and if you had, it was likely Teletubbies. If you've ever gone to a concert or you've ever been to like a stand-up comedian or anything, you know, like I know, the first thing they do is they do not bring the main act out. The main performers do not walk out on the stage and just start. They do not do. This is the secular world, got nothing to do with God. The secular world has figured out you don't just hit people off the cuff. A lost world knows you got to warm people up. Well, if a lost, godless world has figured it out, how much more people who have the indwelling Holy Spirit of God Himself in their being do we need to have time to come in and start to be drawn and stirred by the Holy Spirit through, our thinking, these types of things. In the same way that as we read the scriptures, they stir our mind, they stir our heart, they stir the spirit. We want a similar effect through music. And that's why so much of our music is drenched with doctrine and Bible, right? We're singing Bible truths because that's what we want to stir. We're trying to impact people. Now, having said that, this is super important. Again, as I mentioned, people receive music differently. I do not have a problem personally that if you travel to Africa, many of their churches use a driven beat. And with a lot of times it's with people clapping. Many gifted people there with rhythm, not so much where we live. Many gifted people there. To me, that's appropriate there because that is not only their ability, that's their culture, right? Now, it can be taken too far, no question, and Brother Lane has taught us about that in times past. I completely 100% disagree with taking that music and bringing it right here. Now, when I say that, people go, oh, so you're against that music. No, I'm against it here. Well, is that hypocrisy? No, because music affects people, and people live in culture. So if we bring something to our church is not used to, they are going to lose focus on the purpose of the music, right? People always want to, the second I became the music director, one of the things that was handed to me was all of the questions about our dress standards for music. That was one of the first things, right? People got all their questions and everything. That's fine. You know the standard that we truly have for our music? And I'm just summarize it for you. Don't be a distraction. If what you're wearing, the way you're singing, the way you're standing is distracting people from the message of the music, then we're wasting our time. Is that just me? The whole purpose of the music is the people sitting in the pew. And one of the problems that happens in music ministry is that, as I would label them, immature Christians struggle to understand the music is not about you and your feelings. Let me give you an example of that. Probably, I'm going to estimate, this is a guess, I'm going to estimate between 25% and 30% of the songs that I sing, I don't actually really enjoy. Why do you sing them? Because other people really enjoy them. They minister strongly to our church family. It's not about me. It's not about me. Instrumentalists, pianists, you're going to be playing, I'm going to be shocked if you love deeply every single congregational that we have here at Faith. But we don't go through and go, okay, let's all take a vote. Does everybody like this song? Because we're going to find very few songs everybody likes. Our standard is, hey, does this minister to people? And that's, as far as our dress standards, if you want to look at it, really, our standards are extremely high because I don't want anything as distraction. How big can your earrings be? I'm not going to come measure your earrings. That's dumb. But if you got these ridiculous earrings that's all people can focus on, you're not going to wear them and sing on our platform. Because there's no purpose in you singing a song and pretend that you're giving God glory and God the focus when you yourself and your apparel are a distraction. And that can be everything from you got a goofy haircut, you had your name cut in the back of your head, you dyed your hair, whatever. I don't really care. I just don't want you to be a distraction. We want the music to go forth and minister. And anytime we do something that detracts from that, we can wait. Now I'm gonna use this to segue into another area. One of the problems that we're having recently, and this is just nerves. This is not rebellion. I don't believe it's rebellion. It's just nerves. Oh wait, I got a microphone over here. This is just nerves. This is classic, and I grew up around this. This microphone, if we took this cap off, you'd find that it's not some big omnidirectional microphone. It's actually a directional microphone, and there's a receiver that's right there. So when you sing like this, you're really defeating the purpose of the microphone because you're singing over its receiver. That doesn't work. Also, the trombone singers. We have a sound person on purpose. Now, if somebody ever leaves the sound booth, yeah, trombone all you want, but no. We have somebody to control the volume. And you'll notice I don't trombone. And I'm not trying to be arrogant, but trust me, between you and me, I can blow the doors off it. Volume-wise. But I leave that to the sound guys, right? You'll notice I just keep my mic where it is, and I leave it to the sound guys. And I think a lot of people are influenced by stuff they see on TV, because there's always the person pulling their mic back as they get ready to explode. And it's to me, that's a distraction. I don't mind you singing with I love you singing with volume. Okay, let me just say that. But I'll bring this point around. The way you hold this microphone, and where's Aaron? Is Aaron in here? I saw him earlier. Aaron did. If you caught this a few specials ago, Aaron held his mic up and was unsure about the distance, and so he threw his fist up real quick to make sure he had the right distance. I saw that. I was like, good man, yes. Roughly, and you don't have to do that every time you get up to sing. That might be a distraction. But this is about how far your microphone should be. Okay? You go, but I'm too loud. But the sound person, now please hear this. This is so important. When you put your microphone this close, we get the best capturing of your voice. We say, my voice isn't a good voice. Then you shouldn't be holding a microphone. Think about it. Let's be logical. But if you should, I think you should be holding a microphone. You're the one who thinks you should. And so you hold this microphone and trust the sound guy, right? Which I know is tough. And that's another segment I'm getting to in a minute. And hold your microphone. Don't trombone it. And just sing, okay? And I know for some of you, I'm just going to tell you this. For some of you, you're fighting your subconscious. Your subconscious is flipping out internally, and you're, just keep fighting the good fight. Now, here's my point. If you pull your microphone away, because this microphone is not designed to capture volume at this distance, the sound is very faint. Our sound guys have to turn the sound up. What happens when we crank the sound on that thing? We get all this feedback. Now, everybody's assembled. People have practiced. People have come to do mic checks. We're streaming the services. And you pull your mic away. What's the purpose of that special? And please hear me. People want to flip out because somebody wasn't dressing blah, 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 which I'm fine with. But not holding your microphone correctly can be just as damaging or distracting to a song. And this is my point. when you get caught up in, here's our rule book for the music ministry, you lose sight of what a music ministry is all about. Right? What we got to be focused on in music ministry is the purpose of music and what we're trying to accomplish. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you're done singing a special and you put your mic away, do you even know if you did a good job? Most people, if you ask them, how'd your special go? They are going to tell you about how they felt about their voice. And rarely will they talk about the people in the audience. I've seen people stumble on words, crack on notes, and had people in almost tears in the audience because of the quality of the message and the sincerity with which they sang that song. Now I'm going to dip into my memory here, and that's always dangerous because it's not always reliable. I think it was 2 years ago at Easter, Mrs. Jessica sang By the Way of the Cross. Am I right about that? 2 years ago? That's a song that had been sung in this church for many, many years. It wasn't new to our church family. It wasn't a new song. Everybody's heard Miss Jessica sing. She sang that song with a level of sincerity that moved our entire church. To this day, a couple years later, I remember that service and I remember that song. Powerful. Miss Jessica was not, now maybe she did. Maybe she walked out the door and was like, that's right. Yeah, I got the golden pipes. I don't know. I doubt that. It was just from her heart. She really believes what she's singing, and that's so critical for us. I just don't want anything, whether it's dress, hair, accessories, microphone, anything, movement. Sometimes we get nervous and we're swaying, right? And the worst one is when you're new to singing is the shaky hand. You just can't defeat that thing. My first dozen specials I sang in our church was sung like this. It was horrible. And maybe that was better because people couldn't hear my voice as much. I don't know, but I was just so nervous, and there's some things like that you can't control, right? And I'm not going to beat you up for that. But what we can control, we should control because we want to fulfill the purpose of, hey, how did this minister to people? How did this minister to people? Does that make sense? We're here to minister to people, and that's what we measure everything by. Is this giving God the glory? And we do have to address the fact, though it may not be sinful, if it's not culturally impactful for this body of believers. There's some music I say no to just because it's literally not our style of music as a church. And if you sang it, it would weird people out. I've had to talk to some people, and they move a little bit too much in their music. There's nothing wrong with moving in music. You want to come and debate me, that's fine. We can do that. But it's not something we do a lot in our music. It can be too showy. Everything can be too showy. Preaching can be too showy. So, but we don't do it a lot here, so I don't want it too much. I don't mind a little bit of it, but I don't want it too much. Why? Because it's going to be weird for the people sitting in the pew because that's not what they're used to. And I'm not here to change everybody's musical appetite. I'm here to minister to where people are at with spiritual songs, with substance, these types of things that's going to give God glory. And when we sing, a choir, a soloist, a group, when we sing and people capture the depth and truth, the spiritual truth of what we're doing. And by the way, this can just as easily be done in an instrumental. How many know what I'm talking about? Instrumentalists, Mrs. Askey, if you'll pay attention to her. Instrumentalists have the liberty soloists do not have. You can slow a song down and use timing. We couldn't sing and it makes sense if we had to. But with an instrumentalist, you can. And there are so many people singing or humming the song in their head as you're playing an offertory or whatever else, and it's ministering. You get up and you play an offertory and you want to play, some piece of music that you love but nobody's ever heard. No offense, you just wasted our time. We don't need background filler. We need music that ministers. Well, everybody's heard this song a dozen times, and if it ministers to them, use it again. The only time we're concerned about too much repetition is when it's losing its impact because people have heard it 10,000 times, right? And that's why, honestly, pointedly, that's why you're not hearing Glorious Love every week. That and Brother Dan couldn't take it, but, we want to pick songs that are going to minister in that way. I hope that makes sense. And I'm trying to, listen, it's Saturday morning. It's a long week. If I'm not clear, you come talk to me separately. We'll clear things up. I'm not mad at anybody. I think we've done really great. But we got to be really clear on what our purpose is and what we're trying to accomplish because Then when I come and I show up and I say, hey, if you don't hold that microphone right, I'm not going to have you sing. You're going, wow, Brother Dan woke up in a bad mood. Maybe I did, but that's not the reason I said that. It's because we're destroying the special. And if you have this or have that, and I say, hey, listen, we need to change that, or please do this, or please do that, so it's not a distraction, you're going to understand why, because we want to preserve the sanctity and the purpose of the music so we can impact people for God. And we want to be pleasing to the Lord, right? We want to be pleasing to the Lord so much. Okay, I think I used all my time for my introductory section. That's good. Wednesday nights. Let me move on. Let me talk about Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights have become, I don't know that I have the right word here. Not controversial. That's not the right word. There's a little disdain for Wednesday nights. What'd you say? Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, never, if you have a good joke, don't keep it to yourself. That's totally unfair. I never like to hear that. Okay, Wednesday nights, we have maybe 30 people, 50 people in the auditorium, maybe. And so some of our specialists are starting to feel like I got put on the JV team to sing. You know, they don't like that. And so let me talk about that. First thing is, because I typically preach Wednesday night, I don't sing on Wednesday night as much. Now, I've got some other people going to be filling in for me these next couple of weeks, and I'm going to be singing on Wednesday night. I think it's super important that you see that this is not about how important you are or your caliber or anything like that. Wednesday night. And so I am here to, I don't want to use the word entice. That's the wrong word. But I want to encourage you about some things about Wednesday night. Now, number one, Wednesday night, we do use it to help newer specialists ease into singing specials because it's nerve-wracking and it's a lot, for most people, it's a lot gentler to sing a special on a Wednesday night than it is on a Sunday morning. I not only have a responsibility as a music leader to the people sitting in the pew, I have a responsibility to the person behind the microphone. And if I put them in a position that I believe they're not ready for, that's on me. And if they bomb, their voice cracks, they're embarrassed, they're hurt, they're offended, they're discouraged, part of that's on me because I put them in a position that they weren't quite ready for. And so we use Wednesday nights to kind of ease people into, so you'll see some people may not have sung before. It's a good opportunity for them. If you've never sung specials before, you got to get used to your voice and how to use your voice and developing your voice. And so Wednesday nights can be a great, great opportunity. Having said that, it was never my intention to exclude everyone else. Wednesday night is not a measuring tape. Wednesday night is not a measuring tape. Well, that's, Wednesday night, that's the JV, we got the all-stars are going to be on Sunday. No. Are you going to see more experienced people on Sunday morning? Yes, you are, because there's more pressure. There's the service itself has a lot more built into it that we have to accomplish. I need to use seasoned people who are comfortable. I never want to put somebody in that position. Now, okay, I'm going to segue into another section and try to give you some bonuses here. The first thing is, if you sing a song on Wednesday night, you are allowed to sing it again in the coming weeks in a Sunday morning or Sunday night. Sometimes people don't want to sing on a Wednesday night because they feel like I did all this work to sing my favorite song and only 20, 30 people heard it. So that's fine with me. I agree with you. If you want to re-sing your song a month later on our music schedule, I'm totally okay with that. No problem at all. One of the other subjects that we always get, this is annual here. This is one of my favorites here. And when I say that facetiously. It is the thorn in my flesh. Song ownership. This was one of the things the second pastor was like, Brother Dan's my new music director. And I'm like, the second he pointed to me, this showed up at my doorstep, and it's song ownership. Can I sing this song? Well, doesn't so-and-so sing that song? Well, do they own it? Well, no. But I mean, this is it's a constant thing, okay? And I'll try to go through this. There is no song ownership, okay? Unless you wrote it, all right? And Reagan has written some songs. We have some songs that have been written. And without her permission, you're not allowed to sing her songs. But if you did not write the song, then you do not own it, okay? But now stay with me. Circle back to our purpose. What is our purpose? To edify with our music. There are some songs, you may not like this, and I will try to care about that. But there are some songs that our church is used to. They were introduced to that song by a particular person or group. It was played or performed a particular way, and our church fell in love with it. If I just change that up and give that song to somebody else, it will not minister to the church. It will jar them. If I have a children's group sing The Value of One in missions conference, you may think it's cute. I promise I will have a dozen people offended at minimum. That is a sacred song. By the Way of the Cross, Oh Holy Night at Christmas. They're just some songs. They have people, they have, By the Way of the Cross is now Jessica's, right? She's going to just tattoo it on her forearm. No, I'm just kidding. There's just some songs that connect with people. And the other thing is that there are some songs that hold deep meaning for the person who sings it. We call those heart songs, if you will. And we try not to take those away from people and have other people perform them, because the person who's saying it's going to be hurt because they've poured so much into that song. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So what happens is that Miss Askey, working in the school, will decide the school kids are going to do one of your songs, and you hear the kids do the song, and you feel like you've been kicked out, and that's no longer your song. And, okay, first thing, breathe a little bit. 2, it's still your song. We'll still probably have you, but we cannot have our school, which has a very extensive music program compared to other schools our size, a very extensive music program, go, well, you guys can only find the little narrow group of songs no one sings anywhere. That's so difficult, right? The school kids, they don't own any songs, right? They don't own any songs. So they may sing your song once. If you need to, go home, cry yourself to sleep in your pillow, that's fine. But when you wake up the next day, it's still your song. We still want to hear you have it. Don't worry about it. But I don't want to get into this territorial thing that, well, why did the kids sing? They never asked my permission to sing that song. You're exactly right. Now, as a courtesy, we do try to let certain specialists know, hey, somebody else can be singing your song. Don't flip out. It's still your song, that type of thing. But just breathe a little bit. And if if I accidentally step on your feelings because I let somebody else do a song, then come talk to me. Or come talk to Miss Askey. Go yell at her, whatever. Don't yell at Miss Askey, actually. Come yell at Brother Dan and Brother Andy. Go be nice to Miss Askey. We need her. Brother Andy and I feel like we're disposable. Miss Askey is not, okay? But here's my point. Listen, when somebody else sings a song, I'm not trying to make some weird statement to you about you're fired or that's not, I'm not, right? You know what I'm thinking about? How is this going to impact the service? That's where we're at. And sometimes because we're so focused on that, we miss some things we shouldn't have missed. And I apologize. In sincerity, I apologize for that. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Here's a simple truth about music ministry. I need you, right? I need you. I can't be bothered by you. I need you, right? It just takes one. I was this last year at Honduras. I was talking to one of the assistant pastors at another church from the States who'd gone down to visit, and he's in a church. They have 3 pianists, and he's a music director, he's a song leader, and he was telling me that about a Sunday where one lady was on vacation, one lady got sick, and their backup called him the Sunday morning and said, I'm so sorry, I can't make it. He was like, but he could play the guitar, so he got up and he goes, today we're going to lead songs with the guitar. So he was trying to lead songs and play the guitar. And he said everybody loved it because it was so different, but I praise God that I don't have to worry about, hey, today's a cappella Sunday, everybody. I'm so thankful because of your ministry. And I'm not against you. But I do feel like sometimes if we're not careful, because music is the language of emotion and it connects to our emotions, and we get too emotional about things. And it's like, we're human beings like you are. Just talk to us if there's a situation. Now, here's my other sales pitch for Wednesday night. If there is a song that is typically known as somebody else's song, but you want to sing it on a Wednesday night, I likely will approve it. Now, I'm not going to let you sing a choir song on Wednesday night because there's no choir. But outside of that, I will give more leeway and tolerance. It's not 100% guaranteed, but I give you more leeway and tolerance to sing other people's songs if you'll sing on a Wednesday night. That's a pretty good offer. Some of you have been wanting to sing some of these other songs. You want to sing, By the Way of the Cross, whatever. Well, that's not quite a song, but, you want to sing Value of One, you look for a Wednesday night around October. We'll try to squeeze you in. I mean, I really do. Listen. I don't want Wednesday nights to become this thing of, they don't think I'm good enough. That is the exact 100% opposite of what we're trying to do. You go, well, all the new people sing on Wednesday night. Yes, where's a better spot? That is a good spot to ease people in and help them to get used to. Some people hearing their voice through a sound system is enough to just blow them up emotionally. And I want to ease people in. But just because I have somebody who's new singing on a Wednesday night, and by the way, we do the same thing with our offertories. Do you know how many people on Wednesday night, a lot of us who are in the auditorium for Wednesday night, we've just grown to love all of these offertories for these little ones. I love that they get to come. I don't think it would edify to have them doing it on a Sunday morning. Visitors are going to be like, the only people you have is this 7-year-old to play your offertory? It would be confusing and it wouldn't edify. But on Wednesday nights, we all know, and it's so edifying. We so enjoy it. I never want to take that away, but I also don't want, if Natalia comes and she plays an offertory on Wednesday night, I don't want her to feel like, well, I guess they just think I'm a little 7-year-old. No. It just creates that variety, okay? So Brother Dan is trying to encourage you, trying to avoid the word entice, encourage you to sing on Wednesday nights. And I really appreciate all those who have. Our teenagers especially have been such a huge blessing about this. And in talking to some people, I realized that the sense that I'm getting from talking to some people is that you feel like you're being relegated to, the outermost because we asked you to sing on a Wednesday night, and that's so not the truth. I do know it's a smaller group, and if you feel like, well, I did a lot of work on this song and I'd like more than 30 people to hear it, that doesn't offend me at all. We'll put you on the schedule for Sunday night or Sunday morning or some other time where you can use that in the coming weeks. I don't have a problem with that, but when I became the music director, one of the first things I asked Miss Askey for, and when I asked for this, I already knew the response I would get. One of the first things I said is, I want special music on Wednesday nights. And it was like, are you kidding me? Do you realize on Wednesday nights, everyone is everywhere but in the auditorium? And I had to wait. I had to wait for a while. I can't remember how long it was, I'm going to tell you this. We fought to get it, and I'm not giving it up. It may be carnal. I'm not giving it up. I want special music on Wednesday nights. I really enjoy it. We're really making Wednesday nights our own special service, and I want to keep it that way. So and by the way, if you have some incredible ideas for Wednesday night music, let me know. I'm totally open. And that next thing I want to touch on real quickly is feedback. The first year we did our annual music ministry meeting, I said, hey, our music team is completely open to feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And I said, I'm going to keep saying that until I'm tired of hearing feedback. And I'm happy to report all these years later, and I mentioned this to the team the other day, I'm more open and excited about feedback about our music ministry than ever before. Some of the best ideas we hear actually come from people. Now, the other thing is when you approach us with an idea, please realize we have actually thought about the music ministry before. That did happen once or twice in our meetings. Every now and then you'll get somebody show up and talk to you like you've never thought about music ministry before. We do think about that. But I love the feedback. We've got some really, really great feedback, and I really appreciate that. And I just want to keep moving forward, and I think God really bless us with a good year. I pray that He does that for this coming year too. Okay, and I'm trying to hurry here. The next topic I want to get into real quickly is specials for conferences. Specials for conferences. So we have a conference coming up. And we want a Preacher's Delight, missions conference, whatever it is, Bible conference, whatever. And we have a conference coming up. Our Spanish, you have a lot of conferences too. And got a conference coming up. And we got to ask ourselves, what music are we going to have at this conference? I don't know what your answer would be if you were in charge of scheduling the music. But my answer is always the same. I want the most impactful music that our church has. That is my number one criteria. I want to minister. I want to represent not only our ministry well, I want to have a great impact in the hearts and minds of everybody who comes. I want to bring the best of the best as far as impact occurs, okay? And I feel like what happens in music ministries is the music ministry starts to feel like American Idol. I have to get up and I have to perform. I have to pick a song and perform in such a way that I get voted on to the next level. If that's our thinking, we've lost everything we're trying to do, right? We're trying to please God and glorify Him. And some of my favorite, and I mean this, some of my favorite specials are just little kids playing offertory on a Wednesday night. I would never have them do that in a conference unless there was a specific reason. Does that make sense? So it's not about favoritism. We come into conferences and I think sometimes people are like, well, I guess I'm not good enough. You know, if God gives you a song that ends up impacting everyone, I promise you're going to find yourself, and you're comfortable and confident, you're going to find yourself singing in a conference. But that's the measurement. It's not about how good you are or if everybody likes you. It's not a popularity contest. It's about spiritual impact. And Preacher's Delight, we sang a lot of music we'd sung before, heard from a lot of specialists we've heard from before, but multiple of our guest speakers who have some of the most amazing music ministries, in my opinion, in our country, commented about the depth and level of impact of our music ministry because we put our very best forward. We really, really did. And that's super important. That's super important. So I just want you to know, if we don't ask you to, and if you want to, and we had actually had somebody with a good spirit, we had somebody say, hey, I know this conference is coming up and I'm available if you need me for any kind of music or whatever else. And I really appreciated that. That doesn't offend me. I don't think you're egotistical. We have had that. I have had people come and say, you know, oh, I got this song. It's really good. You should have me sing. No, probably not. Because if your song is about you and how you feel, then it's likely not going to minister to people the way we want. Because it starts with the specialist, right, where we're at. The other thing is that you're going to see some people sing regularly, and I mentioned this last year, and it really edified, so I want to bring it up again this year. Miss Askey, how often do we get music cancellations for special? Would you say once a week, minimum once a week? Okay, but probably on average, what, 2 or 3? 2 or 3 a week we get cancellations for specials. And by the way, that is not a criticism or condemnation of anybody who's canceled. Okay, we okay with that? You get sick, your kids get sick, emergencies happen. Like, I get it, and we're not offended at that. I just, you know, I know you've already put practice in. You're not trying to throw anything away. On a rare occasion, on a super rare occasion, somebody isn't ready. Those are pretty rare. When you cancel, what am I supposed to do? You go, well, you should have a backup song. I do. I have a small group of specialists who have large repertoires, good experience, good relationship with pianists, and they can pull a special out. I have 4 or 5 people in the room right now. I could literally ask you to stand up and sing a special, and you can do it just like it's a Sunday morning. When there's a cancellation, we go to the bullpen, right? We go to people. For other people who could do a good job, I can't hit you last minute. It would not work well. It would be too much. You don't have the songs practiced. You're not up to tune. You don't have the pianist. So throughout the year, you're going to see a lot of Jessica, Shauna, Miss Andrea, myself, and others. Not because we're a bunch of prima donnas wanting to hear our own voices. I am, they're not. Thank you for laughing at that. I'm so glad you weren't like, yeah. We're relying on them so that if you cancel, I don't have to make you feel bad that a service didn't have a special, right? We're not the prima donnas. We're the fill-ins. We're the people standing in the gaps. And so just know that. I rarely, this is a true story, you can ask Ms. Azar, rarely am I actually on the music schedule. I am for a few key points, but I just fill in. And now that Pastor is traveling more, I'm stepping into the pulpit for him to support him. And so that pulls me out of some of the music, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. But anyway, so if you see certain people singing, please don't think it's because, well, these are the people they favor. I mean, they always want to hear from Jessica, and we do always want to hear from Jessica. But it's likely people filling in for us. And I really appreciate it. I do not want to look down on or criticize the people who are helping keep everything level. That's a mistake. And if you start measuring your impact in music ministry based on other people and when they sing and when you sing, friend, we're going the wrong direction. We're going the wrong direction, right? We have some really promising newer groups, newer specialists, and all you need is just more time. You need more time. You need more experience. It's that simple. You're not doing anything wrong, not doing anything bad, but everything from holding a mic to working with your instrumentalists and all that stuff just takes time. And just keep at it. Trust me. And I promise one day you'll fill in a very key spot for us. I want to just real quickly, I'd like to introduce and acknowledge the workers and then also the leadership within our music ministry because they are the people who make it happen. I remember very clearly the day that Pastor pointed to me and said, I want Brother Dan to take the music ministry, and was like, I'm thinking to myself, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm already doing more than I can actually do, and I don't want to take one of our most vital ministries and just tank it because I can't get things done. And I realized also, Brother Lane, hello, just ridiculously musically talented. That is it's not Brother Dan's case, especially when it comes to timing. And I realized, if I try to lead the music ministry the way Brother Lane did, I'm going to fail because I'm not him. I don't have his abilities. I don't have his gifts. But that doesn't mean God has left me without any ability. And one of the things that I can do is I can lead a team. And so the first thing I did was I assembled a team of knowledgeable, experienced, spiritual leaders who have done a magnificent job of helping to raise up and lead our music ministry to new heights. And by the way, that's not to offend any previous music directors, but Lane himself feels like our music ministry is beyond where it's ever been before. And I praise God, but I want to acknowledge the people that help make that happen. One of our longest standing music workers for, I think, a couple decades, literally, is Miss Rebecca Keller. She has been putting our music and organizing our music and getting it on our books for a long, long time. Oh, yes. So I really, really, really appreciate Miss Keller and all her work through the many years. And I really appreciate, it's very difficult when you have a job that demands repetition to adapt to a lot of change. Years ago, we took on Elvanto to help run and coordinate our music. She had to learn that program. We're actually getting into a new program called Breeze, and now she's having to adapt to that. And I just really appreciate that because there's a lot of, that's just moving forward. That's growth. That's the process. Appreciate Ms. Karen Williams, not only for pianists and special and all that, but she's helped us with our child care, and that's not to lock her into it forever. It's not a contract forever, but just trying to recognize that on those Saturday mornings when your choir's in here practicing, there's someone taking care of the little ones, and I don't have weekly reports of problems. Billy ran off and bought cigarettes and this type of thing. We don't have any of that, so I'm really thankful for that. Sometimes the people who make the biggest difference are people you don't hear about because there were no problems to report, and I recognize that when it makes me upset. I'm also really thankful for our, we just started this, I want to say last year, maybe 2 years ago, but our section leaders in the choir, been just magnificent. I really appreciate, section leaders, would you raise your hand if you're here? Because my memory is just shot. Okay, yep. And I'm missing my tenors, because it was Stephen, and he went into retirement. Did we pick his replacement, his predecessor? Colton, how you feeling about being a section leader? We'll talk about that. I didn't just announce it. Colton McLaughlin. Hey, that's okay. This is crazy. I know 2 people. I shouldn't even know one. I know 2 people who were sitting in their church when the current pastor stood up and said, I'm retiring, and so-and-so is your new pastor. And they had never even been talked to. So Colton is not the new pastor, so I'm not going to do that to you. But anyways, I really appreciate our section leaders because they help give us insight about what's actually happening. One of the difficulties in leadership is, we're not necessarily in the trenches where you are. Now, we do sing specials and we do all those things, but you may be sitting in the middle of your section going, there's a problem here. And we can't hear it, we can't see it, we don't know it, that type of thing, okay? And then, of course, Miss Askey, like title of titles. And I'm gonna miss some of the things that she does. First off, Miss Askey heads up our pianists, and I'm so thankful for that. I don't know of another ministry anywhere, there probably is one, but I don't know of any, that grow and develop and cultivate pianists like ours does. All 4 of these pianos have a specific position, responsibility. These pianos have allowed younger people and newer people, not even young necessarily, to start to play during a service but not feel the pressure of piano 1, meaning if you get off, everybody's off. It's a lot of pressure, and it's such a great system to develop and cultivate pianists, and she's done that. I'm really thankful. She also heads up our orchestra within our school or within the church family itself. She also is central to coordinating the order of service. She doesn't do it completely, but a lot of those things. She's in charge of our special music. So if you ever want to sing specials, don't offend Miss Askey. That's going to hamper your ministry there. And then she also obviously plays for the choir and helps Brother Andy and is accompanies for 8 trillion groups along with voice instructor. And I want to touch on this. We had this happen to us a couple times this year where Mrs. Askey, typically it's Miss Askey, maybe somebody else, but she's trying to be nice. She's practicing with somebody. She's playing for them, and they're off. There's more than one way to be off when you sing. Does anybody realize that? I mean, there's intonation, there's pitch, there's tone. There's so many different things. So Miss Askey's trying to be really nice, and she's like, okay, this is a little off, and this is what she gets. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So what you're saying is that it's a professionally trained person who has more experience than everybody in our church just didn't quite hear you right. Now, she's gracious. I am not. That's offensive. Do not, I'm trying to be your friend, do not limit your singing by not being willing to take some feedback. Every one of us, the strides that I've made, man, do you know how much instruction I've had? Oh, my soul. There have been a lot to fix with old Brother Dan. We're here to get better because what we're offering is to God. And just say, listen, if you're easily hurt by that, communicate that. Just say, Mrs. Askey, I'm so sorry. I'm so super sensitive about my voice and hearing any kind of feedback, and I'm really fragile. No problem. We'll be super delicate. We don't care. But leave the door open to where we can offer feedback to help you improve. When you sound better, we all win. The other thing is, remember, when you and I sing, we are singing with our head voice. That's what we hear. We don't actually hear. How many have ever heard yourself played back on a video stream or something like that, and you're like, wow, it's difficult. I'm not a big fan of hearing myself sing on playback or even preaching. It's always difficult. And you probably not either. Or maybe you're like, that's how you go to sleep at night, is hearing recordings of yourself singing. I don't know. But just be open to some feedback. Just be open to some feedback. And again, now I would also say, if you're not Miss Askey, be careful about offering feedback, okay? Let's make sure we got the right people offering instruction, and there's always that kind-hearted person who wants to help and should not be. Okay. The other thing is we have our music ministry team. We've got Brother Andy, heads up the choir, as you know, and then song leading helps us in that area. It's a real big blessing. And then our music team, the music team itself. These are the people who get together, hammer out all the hard issues, plan out the conferences. I mean, all the icky stuff. This is the core team. We have Miss Shauna, myself, Brother Andy, and Miss Askey. This last month, we invited, I should say, Miss Andrea Sterling to join the music ministry team, as she was incredibly vital in helping us structure our Preacher's Delight music. She came up big because, when you have a certain number, you got to have a group of people who are cohesive and can talk and be honest with each other and still offer differing views and stuff and not have catastrophic problems. But then you have to have people who have the mind and heart for music. And Miss Andrea has professional training in music. And really was like, I think this would complement this. And it really was huge for us. And we're like, Why aren't we doing this more often? So we've invited her to join us on that team. And also it really helps because the more and more that, again, Pastor is doing these other things, my role changes more and more as I'm trying to support him more. And so I need more people helping in areas I've been, because one of the worst things that would hurt me the most is if I step forward and drop a bunch of stuff. And our music ministry suffers, and that would hurt Pastor, it would hurt me, it would hurt other people, so we want to do that. Okay, I don't think I'm going to open it up to questions because I've used so much time. I didn't intend to, but there's just a lot of subjects I wanted to get to today. And I know listen, I want to apologize. I know I sound a little snarky. It's because, please realize, one, it is Saturday morning, but two, please realize that a lot of these little things, they spent all year poking me. So when I get up to address them publicly, I still feel a lot of that. So I get a little snarky, and I'm not trying to be anything outside of the Holy Spirit, but hopefully you can receive the message, as it should come across, and realize that we're so appreciative. And I'm excited about growing and having more people involved. But if we don't do it with a clear purpose and process about how we do things, then it's going to hurt us. One of the things that I should have mentioned, now that kind of jumps in my mind, we have a standard process. If somebody wants to join our music ministry, I like them to start in the choir. I have them start in the choir. From there, once someone sings in a choir, I like them to sing in a group of more than 2 people. Then from there, they can look at being a duet or a soloist. There's a little of no one. Now, there are some exceptions we've had based on a person's historical experience within music in our church, but rarely am I ever going to just invite someone to jump right into a special or just go right to a solo. And there are, you just get people. People show up and they want to let you know, I'm ready for my solo. And it's like, that's great. This is not American Idol, right? And I don't even, who's the Rude Simon guy? I don't even know who he is. If it was, that's who I'd be. So you wouldn't like it anyways. Okay, so I just want to mention, I think that covers everything. Okay, we're going to take a break. Did I miss anything, Brother Andy? Are we good? 10-minute break. We'll come back 15 after the hour. I'm sorry for cutting the time. Miss Askey, anything else? Did I miss anything? Miss Shauna, are we good? Miss Andrea? Yeah, Miss Andrea said leave her songs alone. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, I'll be up front here, but you're dismissed. Go get some food. Still got some delicious food out there. Use a restroom. Get some hydration, whatever you need to do. Do not leave. That's the one thing you're not allowed to do. Okay.
All right, everybody, if you take a seat, please. We'll get started with our next section of the music ministry meeting. Pastor Kirshner, appreciate everything that he said. And just one thing I'd like to echo to think about when it comes to our choir is if you're going to take the time in your Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 and come out and participate in the choir, like he was saying with the specialists, if you're going to come out and talk like this, or not sing out, not practice, or whatever else, it's kind of a waste of your time and also the ministry's time when there are people who are putting in that work. And I just want to encourage you that if you're in the choir, I want you to be in the choir because you want to be in the choir, because you want to sing. Not just because you want a place, not just because you want to be in front of people or something else, but because there's something in you that says, I just want to lift my voice into the Lord. And so I'm going to lift my voice loudly. I'm going to put volume in. I'm going to put effort in. It's to have some people come up here and stand here and just sing like this the whole time. All right, get louder. I'm singing a little bit louder. Like, why are you in the choir if your heart is not in it to sing out to the Lord? Now, if you're timid and all that, I understand. And we have people around you, and we go through the songs and have the practices. But when it comes to, hey, Sunday morning we're here, I just want to encourage you, sing out. It makes such a big difference. There are some Sundays I'll lead and I'm like, man, I can't hear anybody. And then some Sundays I'll lead, I was like, oh man, everybody woke up, everybody's on fire this morning. It makes a difference. And so for the live stream, for the people here in the auditorium, it just makes a big difference when you really put your effort into sing. So I want to encourage you again, if you're going to be in the choir, please, please, please sing out. We don't want to have just a couple of loud voices and then everyone else has to kind of adjust to that. I'd rather everybody just, again, put your heart into it and sing out. So, thank you, Brother Stephen. And yes, so the section leaders, Brother Stephen is stepping out of choir. He may come in from time to time to help, like we have people do with Preacher's Delight or different things like that. But as of right now, he'll be stepping out. So afterwards, with the tenors, we're having a push-up contest for whoever wants to be the choir section leader. We'll meet up front here, and we'll do that. I guess if any basses want to graduate up to the tenors, you can do that at that time as well. But anyways, so we're going to talk about something today here. And one more thing before we get into it. Mrs. Askey, I know she just loves public speaking. She loves attention, which is why she loves hiding behind the piano. Mrs. Askey does more, this is from my perspective, and I think our music team would agree, does more work as far as hours spent for the music ministry than anybody else in our entire church. She lives and breathes this music ministry. And so if she has questions or concerns, or she's trying to communicate you, or we're going to talk about the systems that we're using, these things are so important because she has so many things she's managing and overlooking, and this is all volunteer. She's not paid to do what she does for our music ministry. It just comes from her heart and her desire to use her talents for the Lord. So when you're working with Mrs. Askey, please communicate in a timely manner. Be respectful of her time and all these things. You're not the only one she's trying to work with, and she does so much. And again, we greatly, greatly appreciate that. Now, we're going to introduce this new system. How many of you have been using Elvanto or log into Elvanto and look at things there? You may notice that we're not really updating it anymore. There's no new services that have been put in. And Mrs. Keller, while we've been doing this transition, she's like, I can't see any services. Maybe you're not singing for the next 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on. And so it's been a transition time. And so we're still transitioning with this program. So please be patient with us. If you have questions, let us know. But we're trying to take these best steps forward here. Now, the name of this system is called Breeze. So that is the new terminology. And I thought don't worry, it will be a breeze from Tidely. So it's the same parent company that owns Elvanto, but now it is a different arm under their umbrella, if you will, a different service that they offer. And this is where they're going to be putting more of their time and energy in their development. Elvanto was their church management software that they were pushing forward, but then they acquired and bought Breeze, and Breeze has a a different tool set. It's more updated. And so they're now pushing this one forward, and Alvanto is going to kind of get put out to pasture here soon. So we're trying to make the transition to Breeze while this is the thing that they're developing and moving forward. Now, maybe I know we have some of these people here. If you're one of these people who are like, you know what, computers are evil, AI is going to take over the world, and we're all going to be servants of ChatGPT or something like that. And so some people are welcoming the overlords already. And making sure that they're on the winning side of that battle. But these systems that we use, these services, things like Alvanto, things like Breeze, are a huge asset to our ministry. If Miss Askey was at home scribbling on a notepad what the services, then laying them out that way, what it was supposed to be, then she comes in and makes a photocopy of that sketch of the service, and then she prints it out and then presents it to everybody, and then a specialist drops out and changes like they do every service or an offertory. And so she's got to go back, erase, scribble it in, come back in, make a photocopy, print. It's like, obviously that is not an efficient way to do that. Some of you may run your personal life that way, and you are welcome to do so. But when you're managing this many people and all of our ministries, all of our events, and a website, and all the things that we do, we can't run it that way. We have to be efficient. And doing it electronically through a system like this is the most efficient way. So if you are still on the fence and saying, I don't know if I should be a part of that, well, I wrote out some reasons why we should use it. Importance of using systems. It helps to organize events, finances, and people. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of money that comes in through giving and through projects of our church. That we have a lot of different events in conferences or things like this today where using a system electronically is really going to, again, enhance how we do things in our communication methods, which is the second one that spreads consistent and accessible information. Remember the old prayer chains where it was a literal chain where it's like, okay, it starts from the church office to so-and-so, then so-and-so has to call so-and-so, then so-and-so has to call so-and-so. And you could pass it along that way. Information could change by the time it gets to the end of this prayer chain. And also, what if someone doesn't answer? Well, then you've got to know what it is to try to bypass and continue the message on. So by using these electronic systems, everybody can be contacted and has access to the same information. And so it's a great method for that. Then thirdly, it provides a unified platform for communication in organization. All of us can use this. Again, some people may want to use Apple Calendar or Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar. Like there's all these different ways that people can utilize or create tasks or organize their lives. Well, this gives us, our church, a consistent way of, again, organizing and communicating things that we need to our church family. So, with that being said, most everyone in here, if you did not get it, please see Miss Shauna at the break, and we will help you get you connected to this if it was missed. But you should have received, if you had an email registered with us previously in Alvanto that has been transferred over to Breeze, you should have received an email last night or sometime this morning. Miss Shauna has some strange working hours when her brain is on, and so you'll get those at random times. But you should have received an email from Breeze to join and create an account. So I saw someone's phone the other day. They had 10,000 unread emails. It may be hard to find it if that's your case, but hopefully you can still find it. It should be up near the top somewhere. So you should have received an email that was sent to, again, the email account that you have registered with us previously through Alvanto. And again, if you did not get it, please, you can talk to our staff at the break, not right this moment. Then there's a link there that says to create your login. So that would be, you're going to use that link, create your login using your email address, and then creating a password. The password requirements are a little bit more sensitive. You can't just put whatever you want. There are certain requirements for that. So you have to create a password for that meets those requirements. And then once you have an account and that is created, if you would, if you want to go back and review this on YouTube and set this up and just absorb the information, you are welcome to. But if we can work and communicate at the same time, it's going to help. I put up here 3 QR codes. If you are using an Android phone, there's a link for the QR code for that. If you for the web browser, to go to our, it's faithbaptistapp.breezechms.com, but there's a link to that, or to the iOS store, to the Apple store to get the app that way. So please download the appropriate one. And then once you download the app, when you get set up, it'll ask you, what is your church subdomain? And that is basically, they have obviously a huge library of churches that they offer the service for. So which one is ours? And that's what the subdomain is. And the subdomain is Faith Baptist App. Faith Baptist App.
Question,
Yes?
is the only way, because I understand that these things are an easy way to download things that you don't want. So I try to avoid them. Is there another way that we can just download the app?
Yes, you can just go to the App Store and type in Breeze CHMS. Yep. If you'd like to do that.
The subdomain.
Yep, and the subdomain is Faith Baptist App. Yep. So you can search it if you would like to, that's fine. Or again, if you use QR codes, this is an easy way to communicate all of that. Because if you just search for Breeze, you're going to get a lot of other apps. But Breeze CHMS, the logo should be a B that looks like that top, the first letter of there. Okay, and then again, you need the subdomain Faith Baptist App. And then if you've created your account, you downloaded the app, you entered the subdomain, you now use those login credentials that you created a few moments ago if you're doing that all right now, and you log in again. Or you can just go back and do this later. You're welcome to. This will be available on our church YouTube channel, so you can go back and review this at your leisure. Now, once you're logged in, you'll be landing on your dashboard. So I have here some screenshots. The one on the left is if you're on a web browser and you're accessing this, or if you are on mobile. Yes? Okay. Sure, no problem. Let me go back to this, and I'll just wait here. If you have logged in and already can have created an account, raise your hand. How many of you are already at that point? Hey, we're getting it done. Awesome.
So we could set this up through the email though first, right?
Yes, so yes, that's why I said that first, to go to your email, create your account, and that way your account is already created when you download the app. Yep. It'll be a lot easier to do that. Again, and if you need help troubleshooting something, we can take time after the break or at the end if there's not enough time. We'll help get you set up. That is important. Okay, so I got the thumbs up that she's seeing a lot of logins come in. Seems like people are getting it. So we're going to move on to a couple of processes. Now, this is still a program that we're building out and that we are also, again, trying to learn, and they're adding features, as we go along. So what I'm going to show you today are just a couple of what I think are the essential things for you as a music ministry member of how to use Elvanta. We're going to talk about how to view service schedules. We're going to talk about how to access your volunteer schedule and also how to look at the song library. Okay? So we're going to look at those three things, and we'll follow along up here. So again, when you log in on the app, which most everyone here is, I don't see anybody with like a laptop trying to do this. You're going to see on the right here, you have the screenshot of the mobile. You won't see probably initially the events. If you go to Customize Dashboard, you can add different features to that, all the upcoming events of the church. And so you can see that right when you log in. And again, depending on your permissions and other ministries you're involved in, that information can be customized and changed. So having the events right there on the landing page is very, very helpful. So a church service in Breeze is considered an event. So you're not going to find a tab that says services. You're going to go to or want to access the events to look at upcoming services. So on the web, up at the top, just simply says events. Click that. On the app, you need to click the More section in the bottom right, and then you'll see something that says events. So again, on mobile, More brings up a sub-menu, and then you're going to click events. Or on again, if you're accessing it on the web, it'll just be in the tab at the top. How many of you are on the events page? Let's do a little check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Couple people. All right. So again, all this is going to be recorded and published on our church YouTube channel, so you're welcome to go back, click through, and see any of this stuff here. And actually, let me change one thing real quick. Miss Lena, can you please go put SuperSource on the live feed? Thank you. I can't access SuperSource from my app here, and that'll do a picture-in-picture there. And ATEM is pulled up on the ProPresenter computer. It's not on the camera computer. I'm not ProPresenter, ATEM. It's on that computer there, yeah. I'm so thankful that we've got some female representation in the AV ministry. It is not for males only. So if you would like to join and be involved with it, come talk to me or Miss Lena. I mean, she's basically running the whole thing now, so appreciate that. All right, is that live now on the feed there? Okay, as long as the ME1 is on SuperSource, then we're good to go. Awesome. Okay, I still want to make sure that people can see this for the if you needed to see the screenshots. Okay, so once you go to events, you'll see something like this. If you're on the web, you will see the entire calendar view laid out kind of traditionally. On mobile, you'll see a vertical list. And anytime you go to events, it goes to that month. It doesn't go to the day you're on or the closest day. It just loads up January, since we're still in the month of January. So in the app, you'll see there we have all of our different church events and things coming up, regular reoccurring things like services. And what you're going to do is you can scroll down and go to January 26th. That's tomorrow. That's the service I'm going to pull up with these screenshots. So when you see the service, so if you go to, again, January 26th, you'll see an 11 a.m. service, not Sunday school. You're going to see an 11 a.m. service. You're going to tap that, and then you're going to see something like this. You will not have as many options as my screenshot, but specifically you should see one that says service plan. So when you tap the 11 o'clock service, there should be a red button that says service plan. That may be your only one. I'm not sure what your view looks like exactly. But if you get privileges to do attendance or you're helping with events, you'll have more of these things on there. Okay? So service plan. So once you tap service plan, this is where you will see the order of service for Faith Baptist Church. So again, on mobile, you'll have it listed here or on the screenshot on the right, which most of you are looking at here. And you can scroll through and see prelude, specials, choir numbers, congregationals, opening prayer. You can see the order of service of things that are happening in that service as you scroll. And hopefully none of you have the ability right now to delete anything. Otherwise, we'll have a service with something missing tomorrow. But anyways, you should be able to get in there and you can see this. Now, there is, this is the standard as it says right there at the top where the highlights are on the rectangles. Service plan view. This is the entire service plan with the details and descriptions, stuff about the specials or announcements, things like that in the service plan view. Now, if you tap service plan view and you tap the thing that says set list view, the set list, it changes the interface slightly and it only shows the music that is being used in a service. So if you're someone who's going to be a pianist and you want to see what the upcoming service is because you're on one of the digis and so you want to see what songs are going to be in that service or something, you can go in here. The easiest thing to do is just switch it to the set list view. It just highlights the music portions of the service. So you can go through and see what congregationals are being played or sang or whatever else, the choir songs as well. Invitation, if you're assigned to invitation, you can see which one has been assigned for that. So this is a condensed music view. So if you're just trying to go through and say, hey, what songs are we singing tomorrow morning? I forgot. Go in. You can leave it on service plan view and scroll through everything, or change it to set list view and just access that information specifically of music. So you can see congregationals, specials, and choir numbers as well. So this is how you access the service plan. Again, as we're going through, and if we realize that permissions or something like that are need to be adjusted, please communicate that with the music leadership team. We will help to get that fixed as we go along, as we are still developing this new system. So, anyways, so that's how you access a service, and that's how you see the music upcoming for services or events. And again, you can go in there and tap any one of those services and see the plan for that. Now, the next section we're going to talk about here is the song library. So if you want to look up a song, whether it's a choir song or you want to look up a congregational or something of that nature, or you want to look up, hey, what specials are tagged with my name? Maybe you want to look for songs. I use this with Elvanto. Rather than go grab my binder and try to flip through and look at all of the music I have in there, I would just go on Elvanto, type in Andy Lee, and then all the specials that are in there with my name pop up. And that way I can look at the repertoire that way and make a decision rather than have to go grab my book and physically flip through it. So the song library, we will be adding over the next week or two all of the sheet music for the congregationals from the Rejoice hymnal. So right now they are not in there. So if you didn't have a hymnal and wanted to look at it for the music, it is not in there yet, but we will be adding that over the next 2 weeks. So you'll start to see that getting populated in there. Now, to access the song library, you're going to tap on the web, you would tap the little gear icon. Or if you're on mobile, you're going to tap the More in the bottom right. And then when you tap More, there should be a setting little gear icon in the top right of that window. So if you tap More in the bottom right, there's a little setting gear. You tap that gear, and then look on that list till you see Song Library. It's near the bottom. There should be an option that says Song Library. After you tap that gear, Song Library.
It just says notifications are referred to received. But I hit that little, I don't see songs.
Does anybody see the Song Library when they tap it? For me, I have a top section here, and it says Song Library. No, they do not. Okay. We will get that adjusted so people can view the Song Library in Breeze. If there's a way that we can do it without breaking the system, that'd be super helpful. As I mentioned, for finding out what songs are logged in there so they can either view sheet music of a hymnal, like if they need to look at that to review it or practice it. For me, I use it to go and search through my repertoire of my specials and to find things tagged with my name for selecting a song to practice or for a service if I get scheduled.
And then probably at the end of this section, can you touch on, just make a note to touch on the potential future of Harmony Helper?
Yes, that is at the end of my thing. Thank you. Okay. So, anyways, we'll have access to that. I'm just going to show it to you, if you will, for now. And if I get a thumbs up or something that changed, I'll let you know. But the song library. So when you're in the song library, again, it can be a very useful tool if you need to look up sheet music for a choir song. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm doing first one. I missed the first one. I was
Uh-huh.
how do you get the song library?
That the song library it's not accessible at this moment. So for now, let's just again talk about this, and then we'll loop back to it. Okay. So in the song library, you can access the hymnal if you need to reference any of the sheet music there. The choir songs if you would like to review the sheet music. Again, these are things that we're adding and developing as we're going here. You can look at the repertoire of you or other people's specials. And so that is it will be a very helpful feature there. So when you're in Song Library, if you want to search for a song like for example, the way it's set up, if I wanted to find the specials for me, I'm going to tap the tab at the top there on the filter that says tags, and then I'm going to scroll through all the tags, or I think you can search once you're in there. You're going to tap tags and search for your name. So your name is under the tags. It's not under the main search library feature. You have to tap tags, search the tags for your name. You can see your group. You can see your name. Again, these things are being built out. Not all of your specials are in there yet. We're still working on that.
At least when I find tags on the mobile version, currently it says permissions are not needed.
Okay. Again, we'll. Okay. What's that? Okay, so then we will need to rework that tag system if you can't search the tags. Okay, so again, we're all figuring this out together. We haven't rolled this system out with everybody yet, but we're trying to figure it out. Okay, so anyways, the song library is accessible through here. You can also search up the title of your song, and you can find things that way if you can't access the tags. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show you is, and this is an area that I know how I access it. It might be slightly different for you, so let me just tell you how I do this, okay? So the last thing is your volunteer schedule. Previously in Elvanto, you had a tab that said roster, and that would tell you when you have scheduled upcoming volunteer slots. The way that I access this information is through the people tab. So if you tap people, I don't know if you see people, I don't know if you see profile on yours. Does anybody have a people thing at the bottom of their screen like this? You do? Okay. So for under people, I just search up my name. So that's how I did this. So I went to people, search for Andy Lee, and that brings up my profile. And this is what my profile looks like. So if you wanted my home address, it's really small up there if you really wanted to come see me. But anyway, so this is my profile. Or again, search for your own name. Should be able to find your profile there, which if you go to your profile here, and it's the one that's linked to your account, you should be able to edit your fields. Please keep this information updated. If you see stuff that's missing or something spelt wrong for a family name or something else, please help to make sure that the information in your profile is active, because that's what we use in reference on the church side. Also, on mine, I have not clicked this. I wanted to make sure it didn't disappear. There is an option under your number to enroll to receive text messages. If you see enroll to receive text messages, please check that, tap that, whatever you got to do. So that way your number is then again in our list for mass contact that we need to use for through Breeze. So please click to enable to receive text messages, enroll to receive text messages. That'll be very, very helpful. And that'll, again, give us access to be able to contact you if needed through Breeze. Now, to access a volunteer schedule, on the app, you're going to tap at the top where it says Details. I'm searching mine up here. You're going to tap Details, and at the bottom of that list, it should say Volunteering. So if you tap the tab at the top on mobile, it says Details. At the bottom of your list, it should say Volunteering. And then for me, when I tap the volunteering, I have two things currently on my schedule that are upcoming, which is the leading songs tomorrow morning, and then also leading songs coming up on February 26th here on a midweek service. So it gives me the role on the right of what that assignment is. And so if you've gotten emails requesting you to be a part of a service, again, if it's the same email you created with the app, it should start populating these. Again, if not, please check with us. We'll see if there's something missing on there. But this is if you need to check what your schedule is for what you agreed to. Now, with this being said, I want to bring this up again. So we're transferring over the system still. We're still building it out and trying to get it rolling, but we also don't want to, because we have moved all of our services into Breeze and our volunteering and those things, we needed to roll it out to obviously the whole of the music ministry, so you're not in the dark every week wondering what's happening, like it has been as we've been moving out. So if you have questions, please contact myself or Miss Laura or Miss Shauna or any of us we can help to troubleshoot, or if something's missing that you can't access or something, please let us know. If you have questions about other things you can do or things like that, again, we're open to feedback on that. But it's very important that we use these systems, and I know Ms. Askey's going to talk about this in just a minute, the importance of accepting volunteer requests and remembering you accepted the volunteer request, and then being in your place with the volunteer request, this system helps us to get that done. Because we don't want to show up to every service and be like, who's playing piano? Well, I don't know. We should probably just find some people to play. No, we're trying to go through and assign and organize it, and this is our system for doing that. So again, if you have further questions and things at the break or afterwards, we can help to answer some of those questions or troubleshoot things. But this is our next step forward moving with Breeze, and hopefully this will be a blessing to you. All right, Mrs. Askey, if you could, this is going to be your time now.
I have spent close, do I need this or that? Okay. I have spent close to 100 hours working in Breeze, getting all the choir songs are in there, all of the hymnal is in there. Some of the specials are in there, but as we use them, more will be in there and more will be tagged to you. A couple things have come up already. If, like, Andrea's singing tomorrow morning, and she's like, this isn't the song, I'm not ready for this song. I go, not a problem. I'm going to put a song in. If you've said to me verbally, yes, I'm going to sing, I will just put a song in there, and we can figure it out later. And then I can change it easily. Otherwise, it's very tedious to change them. The thing that's very different, when we did El Vanto, it would do a whole group of people. This doesn't do that. It did teams. This one doesn't do that. So if Men of Faith are singing, I have to individually put everybody in there. And then they won't see that it's like Mike goes in, oh, my name's here. Why is my name here? He has to go in and look in the service why his name is there, and then he'll see Men of Faith is doing this song. Cameron was sitting there, or Dr. Hamedi, sorry, is like, I'm gone all these dates. I don't know what to do. I go, you can put that in there. He's already done that. He's blocked out. I'm not available these dates. You will not get a notification. Something I really like about Breeze is, and I'm going to call out, where's Annalyn and Abby? They have said yes to doing Piano 2 twice a month, each of them. So they're over there, which is great for them, great for the church. You will see them a lot, which is awesome. I can go for the rest of the year, put them, their Piano 2 first and third and second and fourth weeks. And so they're scheduled for the rest of the year. If it changes and they say, I can't do that, they'll block it out. It'll come back to me, say they canceled, they can't do it. Then I can change that. I love that. I can do reoccurrence. You know, whoever's song leading or special music. And I'd like to do that more. The pianists are pretty much scheduled out. Anybody on the keyboards? Okay, that's enough. I really like it. Very easy to use. It themes, and I'll get into that. Because we theme our services very carefully now. Specialists should be finding theme, songs that go with the theme. If you want to do an unthemed song, just talk to me. I'll put you on a congregational or scripture song night. But otherwise, we are pretty themed, which is cool. I can pull up all the themes. I can pull up all the tags. Every song that Andrea, which is only like 6 right now, and she has probably 600. She has a lot of songs. Okay, so last year we had 23 different soloists who sang. We had 23 different pairs of duets that sang, 28 groups that did their thing. 14 families. I love the families involved. I'd love to see more families involved, and I'd love to see more of those involved to do more songs. The McLaughlins, the Smiths, the Gendros have done like 5 or 6 songs throughout the year. That's the McElroys have done a lot of, but I'd like to see more families. Well, I'd like to see everybody do more, but, Andrea, Jessica, Kara, myself, Abby Duran know a lot of songs. We can help. If you're looking for a song, just go to one of those people, and they can help you find one. Abby knows a lot of songs. Okay. Something, when you're up front, you want to stand professionally. You don't want to stand like this. We don't want you to stand, because this looks sloppy, doesn't it? You don't want to stand. Men are notorious for putting their hands in their pockets. That just looks sloppy. So stand professionally. I have the kids hold their hands in front because kids do weird things with their clothes. Stand nice and firm. This is a good stance for when you're in the choir. You also don't want to lock your knees because it gets warm up there and you can fall, which has happened a couple times. So unlock your knees, but stand comfortably. You don't want to, I'm always telling the kids, sit up. I'm sure the staff hears me 10 times a day saying, sit up, sit up, sit up. Because when you're not sitting up, you don't have your lung capacity to sing properly. Okay. Keep your feet flat on the floor, secure stance. Don't chew gum. Chewing gum is nasty. I can't think of anything it would be likened to. It's just really bad manners in a choir or singing to chew gum. It will fall out of your mouth. It could. It's like writing in pen. You don't do that on music. That's just... 50% of your performance is how you sound. 50% of your performance is how you look. If you look sloppy, if you're wearing purple hair, I don't personally have a problem with purple hair, but it probably wouldn't edify our church. And it's drawing attention to you. You don't want to do that. You want to draw attention, to the Lord. And we want to edify. Pastor Kirshner, and I probably say this every year, came in with, is it us? And I didn't understand that. Every year I understand that more. And to me, it's come down to 2 points. One is what we're doing, is it honoring to the Lord? And the other one, does it edify the church? Having purple hair in our church is not going to edify the church. Wearing short skirts, wearing loud blazers, whatever, for the men, just wouldn't edify our church. Nothing. I'm not making a judgment on any of those things, but it just wouldn't edify our church. Those are things we want to think about when we're picking music, when we're doing our special. So, I love that, is it us? I think that's one of the most brilliant ways to handle music. It's not a list of do's and don'ts. It's not a list of we have to do this, we can't do that. It's a list of, does it honor the Lord? Does it edify the church? I really am excited. Mary, did you know? At least 3 people ask me every year if they could sing it, and I've always said no, because that was a Watchman or a Brother Lane song, and the church would not hear that. But I love now that you can do that on a Wednesday night. That just opens things up. Not one of my favorite songs. And I know most of you love the song. I do like to hear him sing it. I do love, the Watchmen doing it. They do a great job with it. Of course she knew. The Holy Spirit went to her. I don't understand this song. It makes no sense to me. But you don't have to. It's not about me. It's about edifying all of us. Okay, the goal of music, and we've stated this before, is not perfection. It's excellence. We want to do our best. You should be meeting with your accompanist at least 3 times before you sing. That's just good practice. There are a few, because like Andrea and I practiced once for the song she's doing. I just asked her Friday. I asked her yesterday because somebody else dropped out. And we have done dozens and dozens of songs together. She knows the song, but for the so there are a few people who can get away with that. But the vast majority of us, you just need to practice. And you need, especially, I'm going to be asking some of the younger piano players. Josh is already playing. He needs to practice more than 3 times right now. Anna Lynn will be playing. She needs to practice with her people she's playing with more than once. They just need more time. And the people they're going to be playing for also need more time. Josh, this is typical how kids work. I can't do that. Josh, will you do an offertory? I can't. That's probably the easiest thing to start with. I can't do an offertory. No, I can't do it. Okay, I'll hear that, and all the kids out there have told me this. April, Abby, I can't do that. I can't. And then 6 months later, I'll ask again, and they'll go, okay, maybe I can. And then 6 months later, I'll ask again, and okay, I can do that now. And they're all like this. And Josh did his first prelude on Wednesday. And before, it was like I couldn't get him up front for anything. It's like I love how the Lord works in all of our lives. And taking us from no, I can't, to yes, God can. That just really, I like that. We instituted this year, we had a Southern Sunday, which I thought was really fun. Hunter loves it. He's jumping up and down. No, Pastor likes that kind of music. Again, not my favorite type of music. So we will have a back-to-Bach night, which you will be surprised how many hymns in our hymnal that are from classical music. So it's nothing that we don't already do, but it'll be a special and maybe get into some. If you guys have other themes like that you think would be interesting, because I'm not Southern. Well, I am Southern, but my family's Southern. But I don't like that kind of music. But it edifies most of the church, so we do it. A lot of you don't like classical music, but that's okay too. Again, don't eat on the platform. Candy wrappers, we find junk up there all the time. Kids leave their bags, their music bag or their instruments or their coats or whatever. Just clean up after yourselves. Something I'm going to ask this year, I ended up with a stack like that big of music when I went through my files that was specialist music. So pick up your music, at least put your name on the music so I can get it back to you so we're not dealing with it, Okay. I am really excited about this. I'm really excited about what God has done in this ministry. It amazes me. He took a very non-choir director and he made a good choir director. He took somebody, I remember Andy didn't he didn't know the difference between a slur or a tie, and now he knows what an anacrusis is. I mean, he's a good choir director. I love how the Lord has worked in that. I'm excited about bringing new people and getting new people involved. I've already talked to a couple brand new people. There's a group I have in my head that I'd like to put together. Colton was going to sing a song, and a couple times it's been on the schedule, but he couldn't do it. And then I asked Josh to do a solo, and Josh came up with that song. I'm going to put them together, and they're going to do a duet here in a couple weeks. I think it'll be a great duet. Things like that happen all the time. Andy and I are both looking for new choir music. If you guys know of choir music you want to, Shauna's always coming up with tons of good stuff. Let us know, because we'll get it on the schedule. I'm all about expanding where I will ask you every 6 months. If you tell me no, I'll go, okay, but I'm going to ask again. Okay. Any questions? No. Good. Okay.
All right, so we're going to have a fund to buy a new microphone here.
Okay, let's close this up.
Okay, first thing I just want to thank, how many have already signed up? Would you raise your hand for Breeze? Yeah, we're watching in the back as everybody logs in. It may seem like a simple thing, but a few years back when we were like, we're going to get an app for the music ministry. That did not go. Adoption was a slow process, so I'd love to see everybody jumping in, because that means you're seeing the how useful, helpful it is. Great tool of communication, way better for management. To have a ministry this size that does as much as we have, but be limited with the hours we have, these are the types of tools we have to leverage. The other thing is, please realize that the platform we're moving to is not about one person or group. This thing does so many other things, from giving to attendance to outreach. And so originally, I'll give you the brief history here. Originally, we had went with a company called Tidely. They're one of the foremost when it comes to church online giving. And by the way, because we weathered COVID way better than most churches did, because we had already put all these things into place. At the time, Tidely had purchased a company called Elvanto, and they had let us know when we signed up, we're building this as our flagship product. Here's all the things we're going to do. Well, when they got into the actual code of that program, they realized that it wasn't built very well. And so what they ended up doing, that was information never communicated to us. Here we are using Elvanto like, oh, they're going to continue to build and develop this thing. It's going to be amazing. We've got all these promises about its features in the future. And they ended up kind of putting that project on hold. They still host it, but they don't develop it. They bought another company called Breeze, which is a product we had looked at originally, but it wasn't as full-featured as we wanted. They bought Breeze. They like its structure, so they started building it out. So Tidely is now building out and developing Breeze on a whole nother level, and they're doing nothing with Elvanto. So we're forced to leave Elvanto and go over to Breeze so that we can have all of the development instead of just a product. Because when I implement software here at the church, it's not just what it does, it's what it's going to be doing 2 years from now. Otherwise, we're going to have to change software constantly. And I know you already probably feel like we already do a lot, but I promise it's a lot less than we would. And so I appreciate everybody being flexible. And the other thing is I mentioned this to our staff, if I had a month to take the time, do the tutorials, walk you through it, that would be great, but we just don't. We have to kind of force this change at the beginning of the year, because it's not just about the music ministry. It's about the giving and a lot of other things that tie into it. But it is a great tool and has allowed us a lot of things. And again, hopefully, if you have any questions, make sure you talk to about getting your login. Talk to Ms. Shauna, and she'll be able to kind of facilitate that. Last couple of things I want to mention here, and then we'll take a break and then move to our final choir practice. A couple of things. I hope you got some of the platform etiquette and everything. And again, like Ms. Askey said, we're just trying to have a standard of excellence here in our ministry, and you guys do. You do such a good job. The difficulty, I try to thank everybody, but the difficulty is what we need to bring up in these meetings are what needs to change and be addressed. I would much rather get up with a long laundry list and go, hey, the McElroys sang this special, blah, blah, blah date, and it was amazing, and everybody loved it, and thank you, and so, you sang, and you did this, and I would love to just go through and brag on everybody because there were so many incredible things that made our services completely awesome. The choir has just been doing so wonderful. We've got so many things we're improving. But these meetings are to help maintain that standard of excellence by addressing, we need to change this and improve this and all these other things. So I hope they're not too negative for you because I don't know how many times our pastor has stopped us and emphasized how encouraged he is about the music ministry, how he mentioned it was a couple months ago. He had come in on a Sunday morning. A lot of people were sick, and we'd be the darkness and all this other stuff, weather-wise. And he just said he came in and he felt like all of our church and our visitors were just dead, lethargic. And he said then the choir came in. Man, they started singing. The congregationals went, the specials, and by the time he got up to preach, people were in a good place. And he said, I never would have got people there without our music ministry. That is so much of what we do. And it has such a powerful impact. And I really, really, really super appreciate all that you do. A couple of things that I forgot to mention, I apologize. One is that, and there's one of the things that we've tried to make some adjustments for is the fact that a lot of people in our choir sing specials or are in the orchestra. And we're trying to get you to move around without too much distraction. We don't want to embarrass you when you have to step out. One of the changes we made is obviously instead of just a middle row, we moved to the sides, and we've made some improvements. But just a couple of notes. Number one, if you did not come down with the choir when the choir lines up and heads up please don't come up afterwards to join them. Don't do that. That it's a distraction, and I watch everybody watching that happen. Don't do that. The other thing is that if you have to step out or back in, just be really mindful about that. And please, if you sit in these upper areas, please be mindful that people have to come and go through that area. This doesn't happen all the time, but we've had a few services where somebody needs to get through and people just stand there. I'm not sure what you're thinking or what you're feeling, but on Planet Dan, that's just rude. This person is trying to be as discreet as they can, and you're just kind of standing there. Please, lean back, do whatever you need to do to allow people through as discreetly and as quietly as possible. It's not beneficial to say, well, if you're up there, you're stuck. Well, now we've eliminated a lot of special music and a lot of the orchestra specials, and we don't want to do that. So please be mindful if you're sitting in those kind of, I call them high traffic areas, people are going to be coming through, so be mindful of that. I love you in Jesus' name. People do things sometimes, and I can't connect with what's going on, so maybe you can come explain it to me. We get up on Sunday mornings, in the choir, and forever and a day, the back row is not aligned. And Brother Andy will be like, and there's somebody. I love you in Jesus' name. And then people in the choir start doing it. Okay. The first thing you do when you get into the choir loft, on a Sunday morning especially, is you look at Brother Andy and you shift however you need to. That one Sunday morning I'm thinking of, people in the audience, it had become a thing. They were like, wow, why? I mean, I was surprised people in the pews weren't like, I'm like, a lot of times people do things, odd things, and I'm like, they might have been thinking this, but there's just some things I'm like, I have no idea what was happening there. So please, 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 on Sunday mornings when Brother Andy gets up, just make that little adjustment so the choir looks, because I'm telling you, if the choir is shifted to one side, it will distract people. They're going to be listening to your special like, do they not know that there are 3 people over? Why don't they just center? That is a thing. And so we try to, again, for sake of, hey, we don't want to create distractions or anything like that, please move over. And if you were having such a horrible day that you couldn't focus on anything, come help talk to Brother Dan. We'll pray for you. We'll get you supported, whatever we need to do. But I really would like to minimize how much that is. And Brother Andy, he's so nice. He's just like sitting there. That would not be I would just throw a songbook at you or something. But that's why they don't let me do that. And I forgot to mention, I apologize too, and I meant to mention this too. I also want to thank Brother Luke Gendro. He's not only one of our fill-in song leaders, but he also steps in for Brother Andy on the choir. We do not have a bunch of people who can step in and fill in for Brother Andy. And that is a huge blessing to this ministry, and I'm super thankful for that. We do have some other song leaders, and I didn't go through the list or anything. Brother Gabe is doing a great job supporting, that I'm aware of, supporting the Spanish ministry. If he's doing a horrible job, let me know. Miss Abby, just let me know about that later. But I really appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you, because there's so many people I need to thank, but I really want to say thank you to our Spanish ministry for not only singing and developing the Spanish ministry music, but for coming over and blessing us in the English services. I cannot emphasize enough, we are trailblazing. Even though we find this in the book of Acts, we are trailblazing with how a English and Spanish church coexist and bless and build and edify and unite one another. Maybe there's another out there doing it the way I don't know one, but this is the thing. You can't just talk about it. You have to be actively doing things that grow and edify. And our Spanish coming into our services, like those special where we had all the young people across the front, so powerful, so powerful. Abby and Gabe and others, Danny and others, where they'll sing a song we all know, they'll sing it in Spanish and then English. So powerful, so powerful. Unfortunately, I think it was the Vision Night service. We wanted to be heavily Spanish and English, but we had already used up all of our Spanish singers. We had you sing it for Preacher's Delight and a whole bunch of other stuff, and we don't want to overdo it. And that's another thing that I need to bring up. We do our best to not overload you, but and look how many people are here. We try to be mindful of how much you're doing, but if we start to push your limits or overload you, come talk to us. We're not going to be offended. We're not going to look down on you. And we apologize that we weren't more mindful. But there's a lot of people we have to keep up with. And then the services themselves and their spirit. So really, really trying. Did you drop that microphone in the back there? No. We really want to be mindful, or try to be mindful, but please help us with that. Please don't think, well, they put me on the schedule. They just, it doesn't matter. I have to do it. I don't want to fail the music ministry. No. Where you're at, how much load you can handle. We have people in our church. We have some specialists, incredible specialists that have been long-term with us. They've had some life changes over the last few years. They've not been able to be as involved. And we love them. We support them. We don't have any problem with that. And as life kind of hopefully swings back the other way, we'll get to enjoy them more. But there is no, you're stuck here forever. Or if you don't maintain the pace you've maintained in years past, it's not that case. We want everybody to be in the places you're in, but sometimes that kind of. One of the things that I want to do this year that I'm excited about, hopefully this doesn't blow up on my face, because some things do, we had, coming into Preacher's Delight, we have a lot of people, we invite a lot of people to we almost do like an open house for the choir, right? We get a lot of people in, and I really enjoyed that, and this year especially, we discovered how many people wanted to sing in the choir temporarily. They're probably, for different reasons, they're not good long-term fits. So what I'd like to do this year, and we'll see if I can implement, but it's in the idea / getting to implementation phase of, I'd like to open the choir up like an open house a couple times a year. Before Easter, and I know what you're going to say, but we learn those songs months in advance. I know we've talked about that, but before Easter, before Christmas, and before Preacher's Delight. We may look at Missions Conference, but I'm not sure about that. But one of the things that we don't spend a lot of time talking about, our music ministry, I want more than anything for every person in our congregation to be involved in music. And what I mean by that is there are some people, because their voice, because of their nerves, because of their experience, they are never going to come join the choir. They are never going to come sing a special. It's never going to happen. They're never going to play an instrument. They're just not. But they love music. They love to sing. And so I try to create opportunities for people. On occasion, I'll sing a special, and I'll ask the choir, either I'll come over and we'll lead it as congregational, or I'll have everybody sing with me, because that is some people's only opportunity to sing a special ever. Because we sing our congregationals differently at a different tempo than we sing specials. And so I'll change the tempo so people, because I want everybody to get that experience, even if it's from the pew. Well, I feel like in a similar sense, this opens the door to the choir, to people coming in and getting to experience the choir. Even if, and I'll use, he's not here, but I'll use him as an illustration. Even if Brother Mike Noel, even if he only sings in the choir one time, he got to sing in the choir one time. And I think about Mike and Linda Hughes, and they'll come in, and I just love that. I just love that other people get to come in and experience. This is not we three and no more. And I understand a lot of people cannot maintain the regular schedule. You guys sacrifice to be here every week to maintain the practices and the learning and the apps. And I mean, it's work, right? But I still want to open the door to other people. That's a part of our heart and something I believe is edifying for the whole church family. The other thing is that, and I think you already know this, but and we've got some visitors that we're also regular visitors that we're also working with on this. Please do not use, unless it is an emergency, please do not use these side doors during a service to come or to go. Please do not do that. These doors are metal fire doors. They're number one, they're super loud. I don't care how quietly you want to close one. They latch, it's loud. Two, when you open the door, typically light or air or the noise, the ambient noise comes flooding in, and it is a big distraction. If I walk out that door during a service, that whole section will stop and turn and look. So please do not use these doors outside of an emergency during the course of a service. Now, during the school day, during practices, during other times, we use these doors frequently to come and go. That's the best opportunity, especially when you're coming from B building and it's raining. You want to get in this door as quickly as possible, and I totally get that. No problems. But service time, please avoid the use of those doors. Come in the main doors, and be in your place for that. I think that's about everything. Miss Shauna, am I clear on everything? Do we have that all? Brother Andy, are we good? Miss Askey, okay. I want to thank everybody for being here. We'll take about a 10-minute break. Then our choir will come back. Just got to touch up on some songs. Choir. Brother Dan loves you. You know that, right? You know Brother Dan loves you, choir? Okay, not a lot. I don't know why I've had so much resistance to this. I don't, this is one of those areas I don't connect with. To me, tomorrow, I could have you get in the choir loft during the service, and I could say, hey, we're going to sing this song together, one of our congregationals, and you guys will crush it. 0 practices, 0 words, 0 anything, and I'll just give you the words, and we'll just sing it. You'll do great. But I know that you don't feel that way. I know that you don't feel that way. And more, one of the things I mentioned a couple of years ago, that in order to increase our singing volume and our dynamics, we're going to go back and revisit some of these classic hymns and different things, and we're going to work them into specials where you're singing with me or other specialists in different things, or you guys are singing solos within the choir. And I really appreciate, this year I felt like we saw more regular congregational songs turned into specials, and I loved that. And if you have ideas of, Brother Dan, I think this congregational would be a super dynamic choir song, tell Brother Andy, tell Miss Askey, and we'll take a look at it. I want to keep doing that. It is one of the easiest ways to create great volume for songs, volume vocally out of the choir because people know the song. You may say, well, everybody already knows this song, but often those are the songs that minister to people, and so we're going to keep doing that too. Okay, I think we're good right there. I'm going to cut it right there. Let me pray with you. Or Miss Shauna. Yes. Yes. And please get that ironed out today. Don't create another task on another day. You're already here. You're already focused on this stuff. See Miss Shauna. And then Brother Andy, make sure we update people on Harmony Helper too. And kind of, it sounds like they're changing their future, which I don't love. We really enjoyed that program. It's helped me a lot, but we'll figure out if we can keep using it or not, try to iron that out for us. But again, we're out there trying to look and innovate and everything. Let me pray with you. There's so much great food out there. Stick some in your pockets before you go. I'm just saying. But feel free to take some. That's okay, ladies, right? Feel free to take some of that on your way out. If you're in the choir, take about a 10-minute break or so. Come back in. Brother Andy will touch up the songs with you. I'll stay around for just a couple of minutes and make sure that if you have any questions, you can talk to me directly. Thank you for being here. Another year. You get a whole year off before another music ministry meeting like this. And again, please hear this. Please hear this from my heart. There's a part of me, I do not like that I have to spend 3 hours talking about things we need to tune and fix. I would rather sit up here and brag on you guys and tell you about all the times you made such a huge difference and what a massive blessing you are to our church, and I hope that our ministry just grows and doesn't diminish at all. But we're not going to get to the next level and keep growing the way we have the past few years unless we stop and sharpen, right? We got to iron sharpen iron. We got to sharpen the ministry up. And so please don't leave from this meeting and go, well, there's just a bunch of problems I have to address all the time. It's like, this is all we have time for. So we got to get right to what we need to address, and that's what that's about. Pray with me. Father, we love you so much. We thank you for the privilege of not only serving you, but getting to acknowledge and sing your praises. I'm so thankful we have a God that is so infinitely amazing that our worship becomes inexhaustible. We can continue to sing and to praise you on instruments, stringed instruments, in vocally. Lord, there's never going to be enough praise for Jesus. There's never going to be enough praise for the Father. There'll never be enough praise for the Holy Spirit. We're so thankful that you are who you are, and your love has been poured out upon us. Father, it is always a difficulty that we are sinful human beings trying to lift up praise to an infinitely perfect God. And Father, I realize that because of that, we fall short every single week. There will never be a time where we will rise to the level of fully being worthy, but we acknowledge that. And what we pray, Lord, is that you would just take the simplicity of who we are and what we are. You remember our frame that we're but dust. And that use us to do something greater than ourselves in lifting up worship to you. Lord, I do pray this, you know I mean this, that we would be entering the greatest year of music ministry for our church, not by measurement of our voices or our abilities or what we think, but by measurement of the pleasing of our God, the edification of the church, just as Miss Askey had referenced. And Lord, the impact on our own pastor, that you would be well pleased. This is our desire. Lord, for any who are frustrated, discouraged, help us to communicate in love, to operate in fervent charity one towards another. And Lord, I pray that we would just be sensitive spiritually towards one another, that everybody would realize that they have a place, that they are appreciated, they make a difference, Lord, and can help us to continue to guide and direct. Lord, thank you so much for our wonderful Spanish ministry and the growth. I'm so excited to see the growth in their music ministry. And I pray Lord, I pray for your blessing on all of our music ministry. But this area that's in this critical development stage, I just pray your special guidance, inspiration. Lord, help. I pray that they would know they're loved and supported and prayed for. And Lord, I just pray you grow this ministry together as only you can. We love you. Ask all these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you. God bless. You're dismissed. Have an awesome day. Choir, you're back in here about 11:40.